Welcome to the CIO Water Cooler TV. This is the channel that aims to capture some of the conversations between peers that tend to happen around the water cooler. And today we're lucky enough to be joined by David Tidey. You're the head of IT at Richmond and Wandsworth. It's Wandsworth and Richmond or Richmond and Wandsworth?
It's Richmond and Wandsworth.
There we go.
Alphabetical order.
Fine. Yes, that would make sense, wouldn't it? But Richmond and Wandsworth Council. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You were keen to join the show today to talk about managing upwards and building the relationship and trust between the CIO and the CFO, and also how that contributes to the transformation agenda. Is that right?
That's correct, yeah.
Have you worked with the same CFO since the coming together of the two councils?
Yes, absolutely. So during the planning phase and over the last 3 years since we've been together, I've been working for the same Director of Finance, yeah.
Now it's interesting, but before we hit record, you were talking about the fact that a number of CFOs sometimes feel that they are challenged by technology, that they don't quite understand it as well as they could do. And I suppose that problem is only getting worse with the rate of change across the industry, right?
I think that's absolutely the case. That everyone says that IT is getting simpler with cloud and you can outsource all your problems, but actually the things you can do with IT are getting more and more complex and they're reaching into more and more areas of a business. So, the CFO is sitting there thinking, why are my staff being replaced by AI and bots and things like that? So I think they're quite challenged by the pace of change of technology.
Does the CFO also get some pressure from the board more generally to invest in technology and put some pressure on the CIO? And I suppose the CIO has to frame those conversations and go, hang on a minute, has the board asked the right questions to determine if this is even right for our business?
Well, that's definitely true. So the board obviously wants technology to work. So sometimes if your technology is not great, the CFO is getting hammered by the board to get the basics sorted. So as a CIO, you've got to have the basics right. You've got to have reliability of systems, etc. So that's really just a given almost these days. But there's a lot of organisations that still struggle with that. So that's the thing, you've got to get over that barrier first. And then, of course, everyone is saying, so what is all this technology? How can it really transform and help my business? A lot of people want to invest in technology, but then want a payback in return. And often that whole engagement with the business around what a business case might look like is quite challenging, quite difficult, because often you're talking about staff that might need to be reduced. So they want the investment, they want the efficiencies, but they're not prepared to often give up the headcount and the staff and often change the way they've always done business.
Now, transformation is not an overnight success story. And adopting any technology can take time. It can be huge upfront costs before you see any real return on investment. So I suppose key to that dynamic is trust. And if you're going to have that level of trust to deliver that change, you've got to build a strong relationship with the CFO. In your experience, how does the CIO or the head of IT effectively do that and get that person on board?
It's about trying to talk their language. So you've got to understand the numbers, the figures, what IT costs, and actually what the payback of investing in IT. So, if you're going to do standard stuff like we're going to implement Office 365 across an organisation, they're going to see a big cost. They're going to want to see what the benefits are. So you've got to put it in terms that they understand. Investing in technology is not about just getting new shiny stuff. It's about changing the way your workforce might work, be more mobile, be more flexible, be more responsive, improving the way the organisation communicates with each other, showing them the idea of, videos like this. The chief exec could be interviewed and as a message to staff. So there's all sorts of things that come with all this new technology, and you've got to put it in terms that they understand and they can see the benefits.
Do you think most CIOs see themselves as business leaders? I think it's been an increasing given that they are a business leader, but I suppose there may still be some people who aren't necessarily comfortable with that tag.
I think that's a big problem. There are some that are and some that aren't, and increasingly the ones that aren't are going to go like the dinosaurs. They're not going to be around much longer, because you've got to talk the same words of the business. You've got to empathise with the business. You've got to understand why they want technology and how they want to move their business forward. So you have to be a business leader these days to succeed.
Now, talking of vendors, we're talking about cloud. You could have any number of different vendors making up your technology stack now as a technology leader. Do you find yourself having to swap an element of control for influence within an organisation? Do you think that's a trade-off that increasingly you're seeing across the industry?
I think it is, because now I wouldn't say outsourcing, but we're moving more stuff to cloud and to hosting and to vendors, as you've said. And of course, your control with them is often just a single contract. But as the sort of technology lead within the organisation, if something goes wrong with them, they're on the phone to you to say, well, what are you going to do to fix it? And if one of the big suppliers' cloud goes down, you have to admit your influence is probably quite small. So they are still holding you to account, but actually your control over the technology estate end to end is much less. It's much more sophisticated than it was in the past.
So just as a quick wrap up, if you're talking to someone who's new to the role of CIO or head of IT, and they're looking to build that strong relationship with the CFO in particular, what 1 or 2 steps would you suggest that they take?
It's all about the people. You've got to get out there and win the trust of the senior managers in the organisation. And I'd say to influence the CFO, talk to their direct reports, talk to their the chief accountant, talk to the people that are running the lines of business within finance, so that when they speak to the CFO, they're saying good things about IT. You've got to work around the CFO, make sure that the people around him are comfortable with you in your role and they feel that you're delivering.
Well, David, I really appreciate you giving up some time and talking to CIO Watercooler TV. I hope you enjoyed this short video. If you did, please like it, subscribe to the others, and comment below with any further discussion points.